Okay, I'm still not good at this. I'm still trying to figure out what to do, but alright, I'm gonna try anyway. So, hello everyone! Yes, it is me. I am Fanfiction Dreamer, and this is what I sound like. You probably recognize this username from the chat room on Miss A's streams. I have been on there several times. My brother came up with that name for me several years back, and I've liked it ever since. Now then, the first thing I need you to know about me is I have autism. Yeah, that's right. I'm autistic, and I have a lot to say about that. But that's for another time. I have mentioned to you just now that I have a brother. Yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of my immediate family. Other than my parents. Okay, enough about that. Let's get to the point. Perhaps the main reason why I want to stream is because I want to share something that I have been working on since I was a kid. The Ultimate Story. It is a fanfiction creation of mine that is my life's greatest joy. I have tried getting it on the internet a few times. I've gotten it on a few websites, but I haven't been getting enough attention, so I thought I would try to talk about it and show some of the work I have been doing on my computer. Maybe that could give me a way to really share this story. It has been my dream to share this story with everyone since I was really young. I can't wait to talk about it and the many different elements that helped to build it. Okay, the first part of the story. When I was 8 years old, I have created something that I really liked, something I was really passionate about. Let me try to figure out if I can get the display the thing. Let's see. Alternate display. I got the. Okay, there we go. I think I've gotten it. Yeah, the Lisa Simpson Chronicles. This was a story I've dreamt up when I was 8 years old. And here is the first part. Part 1, Lisa Simpson's story. The Ultimate Story originally started out as the story of Lisa Simpson called The Lisa Simpson Chronicles. When I was a young girl, I used to enjoy watching The Simpsons. My favorite characters were Lisa and Maggie Simpson. I thought that Lisa deserved better than what she had, so when I was 8, I used my developing talents of creating stories to give her things that I believed she deserved. I wanted her to, become a heroine in my story. I also threw in Maggie being part of the story because I liked her as well. I then came up with this crazy idea of giving them magical powers, well, because I felt like it. That was truly the start of creating a world where I can do whatever I want, and it felt really good. For me, that's the best part of creating the Ultimate Story, being able to do whatever I want, and I really don't care what anyone else thinks. Okay. Part 2, Sonic the Hedgehog. This is where it got really interesting. Around the same time as the Lisa Simpson Chronicles, my brother got a few games for Sega CD, a game console that he received from one of our uncles. One of them was Sonic CD. I remember the days I spent watching him play the first Sonic the Hedgehog game at our uncle's house. So Sonic CD wasn't the first Sonic game I ever saw, but it was the first time I officially got into Sonic. Not only that, but one of the TV channels we had at the time was broadcasting the Sonic the Hedgehog TV show. And after my brother received Sonic CD, that show became one of my favorite cartoons. A lot like any show that I like, I made it part of my story. Sonic and Tails' homeworld Mobius became the setting of where Lisa and Maggie have perfected their magical powers after receiving them. Let me get on the website. Let's see, have I switched on? I am still trying to work this dang thing. I have been trying over and over again to try and been practicing this dang thing, but I can't seem to get it to work. Hang on for a moment. Oh yeah, look at that, it is on. Sorry about that. I am still trying to figure out how to work this dang thing. But as you can see, yeah, I really know how to use this dang thing. And my thing is also delayed, so I have no idea what I'm doing, obviously. So, if you can see it right now, I have displayed on here the image of the Sonic the Hedgehog television show on YouTube. Yeah, this is the exact Sonic the Hedgehog TV show that I got into when I was a little kid. And the memories, just seeing these images really brings back a lot of memories of when I was just a little girl and I was thinking up all these stories. It's a lot I still remember about this show. Unfortunately, it started around the same time that I was already in school, so I had my dad record these episodes for me so that I would be able to watch them whenever I wanted. It brings back so many good memories. Okay, moving down. Part 3. Introducing video games. Age 8 was also the year that I myself started playing video games. The first game that I ever played was Diddy Kong Racing. When I started out, I always came in last place and my brother made a big fuss about it, which was not fun. But over time, it became easier and I was able to win race after race. This was the first time that I ever incorporated video game-only characters into one of my stories. It felt strange at first, but I got used to it as I kept doing it. Most of the characters in that game aren't involved in the Lisa Simpson Chronicles like they used to have been, although one of them became very important for the story. Taj, the Elephant Genie, was the one who gave Lisa and Maggie their powers. Sonic the Hedgehog was the first video game character to be part of my story, but I incorporated him as a character from a cartoon more than a video game, so it didn't feel the same as incorporating characters who were just from video games. So yeah, like I said, it felt strange at first, but I got used to it and I've learned to incorporate those characters into my story and really learned how to really learned how to utilize their personalities and have them interact as though they were part of a television show. It was fun. It was amazing, and I just kept, as I kept doing it more and more, I just felt more comfortable with it, and it just really was that, it was just so much fun. I can say that much. And part 4, the story lives on. Coming up with this story was fun, and I do think about it from time to time. I came up with crazy ideas like Lisa developing a crush on Sonic, calling him her dream hog. They did have a relationship with one another for a time, and it dragged on throughout the entire story. It was probably the first time I involved characters from 2 different worlds in any romantic relationships, and I most certainly had fun with it. First time I involved characters 2 different worlds in any relationships. I hate it when I do that. I swear those typos can be very annoying. And I most certainly had fun with it. Even after coming up with my greatest creation of all times, I'm still expanding the Lisa Simpson Chronicles. At age 10, I got into the Powerpuff Girls, and they started out in the Ultimate Story, but I decided that it was fitting for them to appear in this story because of their age. But it didn't end there. That was also around the time my brother got the first Super Smash Brothers, and I started incorporating all of the characters in that story as their official first appearance to my stories. This eventually led on to a lot of other ideas. The Lisa Simpson Chronicles may have not been an Ultimate Story tale, something that I would consider to officially be a story for the Ultimate Story, but it did become the foundation of the Ultimate Story, kind of like a pilot that officially, I did it again, that I officially created events that would lead up to the Ultimate Story. I really don't like my own typos, I swear. So like I mentioned on here, the Super Smash Brothers characters, like these guys, became part of the Ultimate Story in a number of crazy ways. And if seeing this picture brings back a lot of memories, then I am right there with you. All the good times that my brother and I had playing this game when we were younger. Unfortunately, one of my brother's friends borrowed the game and he never got it back, so he is so angry about that. But what can you do? Maybe I can introduce him to that retro store that I found along the way, and maybe he can buy the game from there, and who knows, maybe he... Well then, another... Is this thing on? Did I switch on? Okay, it's switched on. It says on there that it's switched on. Yeah. Also, I want to talk about my story, not just because I wanted to get it out there, but because writing out my story is just so much work. It is my passion, but just having to sit down and write it is such a hassle, especially for an extended period of time. It is why I procrastinate so much, but you know what? I'm really, really, really tired of procrastinating, so I'll write out a few summaries and just talk about it, since that is most likely easier. Let's see. close capture. As you can see, I have an account on the Star Fox Online. This is a really nifty little website that I use every now and again. I check on it, I post a few forums, I even started a blog. It is called The Ultimate Story Blog, and I've been writing a few things about my story on there. This one right here is very interesting. The rules of the ultimate story. And this one I've written out as a reminder of things that I do and don't want in my story. Rule number 1. I decide what goes in my story. Simple as that. Rule number 2. Certain shows, video games, settings, and ideas that I enjoy get added to the story. Much like Rule 1, but much more specific. Rule 3. Everything that I do not like gets left out. Rule number 4. All unwanted ideas are left out. No exceptions. If I don't like a particular idea, I would not put it into the story. And those 3 exclamation points in front of exceptions means I'm really serious. Rule number 5. Anything I desire gets added in whenever I want. Yeah, that is just so sweet. Rule number 6. Everything is arranged how I like them. Yeah, and there's just some ways in which I've arranged certain characters and certain events in which I like them. Rule number 7, nothing changes unless I say it does. That rule came from something that happened to me several years back that I plan to talk about later. Rule number 8, all characters should be added exactly how they are, with the exception of a few small extra traits that do not change them. That rule, I'm sure a lot of people would not be angry about. Any and all characters should be added in exactly how they are, but I tend to add in a few small traits of my own to make them a little more interesting, at least to me. Rule number 9, all unwanted personalities for all characters are left out. Basically a repeat of Rule 8, but much more specific. Rule number 10, if complications are involved, then the rules can be altered, but not too much. And sometimes complications do happen when it comes to creating the story. Rule number 11, all non-favorite characters do not need to be altered. I kind of forgot about what that rule meant. Rule number 12, all unwanted hairstyles are forbidden. Non-favorite characters can be an exception. The details behind that rules are something I do not like to talk about. Rule number 13, all unwanted words, including all forms of obscenity, are forbidden. Again, no exceptions. I despise cursing. I have seen obscenity on the internet many times, and I tolerate it the best I can, but in my story, there is absolutely no cursing whatsoever. I'm especially a bit hesitant about mild obscenity. Yeah, you know, those words that sound kind of like bad words, but are not so much cursing. Yeah, I'm, like I said, bit hesitant about that. Rule number 14, everything expressed however I want. Simple and clean. I always express everything the way I want it to be. Maybe. I'll talk more about that later. Rule number 15, no unwanted alterings. Simple as that. Rule number 16, everything is added, taken out, altered, brought back, stay in, pushed out permanently to my liking. pretty much as simple as that. And I've had ideas that I sometimes toss out or bring back in. And bring back in, and sometimes push out and decide I don't want it anymore. It's also complicated. Rule number 17, all ideas that cannot be left out must be edited in by my conditions. And there are some ideas that are like that. If I can't leave it out, I have to add it in, but under my conditions. Rule number 18, I have every right to be selfish. That is what a fantasy world is for. And you may see in the story a lot of incidences in which you may think that I am incredibly selfish. Rule number 18 says I have every right to be selfish. And I created this fantasy world of mine specifically so I can get whatever I want. Everybody wants to have complete control over something. For me, it's my own fantasy world. Rule number 19, do not question the complex system influencing my story. There are some things about my story that are very complicated, even for me. It's just a mixture of things that I like, along with complex issues going on inside my head. It's kind of crazy. And rule number 20 is probably something my brother would hate. I am the only one who decides everything for this story. No one else. They can bring up suggestions, but only I decide what gets added in and what does not. And that feels so good. Just to have absolute control over something. Now, I can drop down and show you a bunch of the entries. Here we go. Let me introduce you to my Ultimate Story blog. I'm going to talk about a lot about my story, so get used to it. I've always wanted to tell everything about my story since I was still a kid. When what started out as something crazy I used to enjoy as a kid grew into what I know now as the biggest thing that I have ever created in my life. To me, the story is fun and also emphasizes a lot of the difficulties of living with my autism. That pretty much is the deepest part about my story, is pretty much me emphasizing the complications of what is going on inside my head in the form of these characters. And there are so many things that I want to talk about involving this story. I have put a lot of crazy stuff into it as a kid, which I believe emphasizes the disorganized mess of what goes on inside my head, as well as how I deal with a lot of my personal issues. Oh my gosh, the inside of my mind is like my brother's room when he still lived in our parents' house. And that room was such a cluttered mess. Ugh, oh my gosh. So, yeah, a lot of the crazy things that you will see in this story is part childhood, part Asperger's, and part dealing with the personal issues that I have been putting up with for more than 16 years. Yeah, this was 2000. It's coming near almost 20 years that I've had these personal issues of mine. So in a way, the story is like my own crazy diary in story form. And I want people to read it to know what I have been going through growing up with autism. I will tell you interesting facts about my story and everything that surrounds it, and I will tell them as frequently as possible. So here it is, my Ultimate Story blog. Yeah. Either my blog has been receiving that many views, or there's like some sort of, it has not been counting correctly. And the birth of my hobby. The origin of my Ultimate Story did not start with the Ultimate Story itself, but rather it roots come from what eventually build up into how I was able to create it. It all started when I was 6 years old. I have become fascinated with so many TV shows like Power Rangers, which I have loved since I was 5. And Power Rangers was that one show that has got me enamored with colors. I just love colors so much. I love looking at them. I love doing stuff with them, and I still feel like a toddler who does finger painting, and I'm just so in love with colors. I also had a fascination with cartoons and movies about talking animals such as The Lion King, which was my favorite Disney movie during my childhood. And oh boy, I am an animal lover. I loved them both so much that I began to create stories from the shows and movies like them and fantasized about them. Yeah, that brings back a lot of memories from when I was still 6 years old. Those were some fun times. From this, my talent for creating stories came into development. Over time, I practiced this talent. I created story after story and kept doing this to a point where carrying out things such as manipulating and characters and plots became like child's play. And it is just so easy to be able to manipulate characters based on their thoughts, their feelings, and all that other stuff. It's just so much fun. And of course, it didn't stop there. I also added other things to this, such as 101 Dalmatians, Road Warriors, and the soon-to-be show that started my greatest creation, The Simpsons. Oh my gosh, I used to love The Simpsons so much as a kid, and today not so much. I'm not crazy about that cartoon anymore. But I don't fantasize about these old shows like I used to, but I'll always consider them to be the foundation of what I have now, and yeah, those were the days. I remember that so much. Still remember. And about being able to manipulate characters and plots, basically I just manipulate the characters in my stories based on how they are in their actual material. Let's see, is this... Yeah, yes. Yeah, so I have been trying to express my story on here, but it hasn't exactly been working out. I am also have my own account on fanfiction.net. I discovered this website long ago when I was part of a small group of young people, a social group of sorts in high school, and they talked to me about this website, and I saw it for the first time, and it looked a lot like something I would want to do, and I have already gotten started. As you can see, I have 5 stories, including the ultimate story. And this is my username right here. Fanfiction Dreamer 627. I had to add the 627 part because someone from Sweden already took that name. Dang Swedish. Nah, I'm just kidding. I have nothing against the Swedish. Any issues I have with them, I'm trying to overcome them just because of my personal issues. As you can see, I have published this story. The first time I actually put this on the internet was, nearly 4 years ago. And on here, I've had 378 views. Yeah, that does not give me a lot of confidence. for having that many people view my story. It just did not give me any confidence. Meanwhile, this story that I published in the beginning of November of last year, so this was like several months ago, and as you can see, I've gotten a lot more views from just several months, as opposed to the Ultimate Story. It does not increase my confidence very much, and I have very, very low self-esteem. And as you could probably tell from listening to how I speak right now, oh, crud, did I... Oh, wait, no. Oh, okay, there we go. That's okay. Okay, sorry about that. I'm still learning how to use this program. I have figured out a lot, like how to get an image, like the one that I'm going to put on here. Yeah, I have very low self-esteem, so I don't have a lot of confidence in myself. I am doing the best I can to try and figure out how to do stuff. I am not very good at talking, as you can already tell. I have once tried to stream this, and I sounded like a complete idiot who has no idea, and I had no idea what I was talking about, much like I am now. I've written up some of the stuff that I was mentioning on some cards, and without those cards or anything else written up on here, I pretty much sound clueless. So, yeah. So, I am going to shut off my image. Wait a minute. Okay, I still have no idea what I'm doing, but this is my desktop right here. I have the Ultimate Story up here, and these are the number of titles that I have in my story. They seem to be arranged randomly, but there are a few things in which the titles are arranged in ways that I did on purpose for affiliation purposes. For example, Star Fox 64 and Pokemon, I wanted those two to be together because of an event in my story. Well, a number of events in my story, actually, but I'll talk about that later. Powerpuff Girls and Sonic the Hedgehog right between this little thing that I've written right here that looks kind of like the font used for The Simpsons, Lisa Simpson Chronicles. I just don't want to put The Simpsons on my thing for reasons that I just rather not talk about. Super Princess Peach right next to Rayman 2. I have another event in my story that involves these two characters having close affiliations with each other. A close affiliation with each other. I am stammering because I am nervous. I'm not used to this. So, anyway, and lastly, my all-time favorite video game, Star Fox Adventures, right next to Sonic Heroes because of some things going on in the story involving characters from these two games. I have Sonic Heroes, Sonic Adventure 2, it should say Sonic Adventure 2 Battle because I never played the Dreamcast version. Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut. Both that and Sonic Heroes are very, very underrated games for reasons that are understandable. Sonic Heroes wasn't exactly a great game, but I love it because it really helps the imagination juices in my head flowing. And Banjo-Tooie right near Digimon. Something interesting in my story happens involving those two universes. And everything else is pretty much random. Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. My brother got that game back when we were in college for our dad, and then I started playing it and started loving it. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I loved Ocarina of Time, and then after I got Twilight Princess, I had an affair with that game. I loved it even more. But both of those games are, both of those games, like, kind of come together as one. There's, like, you'll understand soon enough once I, talk about it a bit more. So yeah, I have an account on fanfiction.net if you would like to check that out. Feel free to do so. If not, whatever. I know you have better things to do than to look at my stories. A lot of people do. You can really tell that I have low self-esteem. Oh, let me take a good look at these. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can really feel it. Oh man, just coming up with those. It just brings back so many memories. Let's see, I also wrote a forum on here. Let's see, Star Fox, non-Star Fox work. You can see a bunch of other things that people on this website have posted. Let me see if I could find mine. Another fanfic like me. Here, Ultimate Story. So yeah, I started an Ultimate Story forum. So yeah, I tried to talk about it in my on this website, and it's been kind of difficult. I also have an account on Tumblr, and I've been trying to get it out there, but I have not been getting a lot of views, so I still don't have a lot of confidence. And yeah, my story. I also have a tendency to repeat myself because I run out of things to say sometimes, run out of other words to use. Things about the story that filled me with so much joy. Well, because I created it, well, duh. Of course it fills me with joy. Of course something that I create fills me with joy. I also wanted people to see the things about the story that has made me happy. That was the main reason why I wanted to share this when I was a kid. However, time after time, I have realized there are some things that people may not want to see, and that's where I started losing confidence. It's nothing vile to the sense of having it be written by someone with a sick fantasy life, and there are hundreds of people with far worse sick fantasy lives out there than me. I don't even come close to being one of them. More like being my own personal desires involving these characters in a way that is appropriate to share with kids. I my stories are no higher than rated T for teen. I will go as far as that, no more. Sorry, I have zero tolerance for looking at things that are X-rated. I'm a kid at heart. I am a kid at heart, I already said that, so I try to keep it kid-friendly. Nothing like you see in a lot of those crime shows, like CSI. I used to watch that a bunch when I was in high school. I keep what I like, and I leave out what I don't. Those are one of the rules of my story. There will probably be some ideas that not a lot of people will approve of, especially some Pokemon and Star Fox fans who are attached to the original theorized love interests. Yeah, I have a thing about shipping. I may be a shipper myself, but my shippings are much more logical. Just something that has been bothering me for a long time. Yeah, so anyway, this story contains a lot of things that I love and leave out a lot of things that I don't, and some of my personal experiences as well. Yeah, it's nothing really super special, but it means so much to me. I will post summaries of each chapter. Right? Yeah, I started doing this for a while, and people started looking at this and started making comments. If you want to take a look at it yourself, feel free to do so, and yeah. Yeah, I tried to make this in the middle to celebrate my second page. I will maybe even read my story out loud. Yeah. Something I'd like to mention. Around the time I was starting middle school, came up with this crazy idea of making some popular Nintendo characters into Pokemon trainers. Oh wait, no, I'm not ready to talk about this just yet. Yeah, perhaps some other time. On to another reason why I wanna stream. Yeah, here. Another reason... Hang on, let me turn on the image. Another reason that I want to stream is to talk about my favorite LPer, Emil. You may know him as Chugga Conroy. I like him a lot. I think he is a very funny and very unique person. I have been writing a few entries in a journal that I have right here. I will read them to you over time. But right now, I think it may be too much to talk about. So yeah, I am a huge admirer of Chugga Conroy. I've been watching a lot of his videos and listening to him a lot, and he really does sound like someone who I can relate to quite a lot, and I think he's just an all-around amazing person. Yeah. So, yeah, I just can't wait to talk about him. But maybe some other time. I think I have said enough for now, so perhaps I will post another stream. I will do another stream sometime soon. Okay. See you later.